Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another video. It's that time. I'm going to do some college football picks and predictions. Round one of the playoffs is over. We're now moving on to round two, the quarterfinals. Whoever wins these games, they got a real shot to make the national championship. We have top of the line matchups. There was a lot of complaints for round one. This team shouldn't have been in. This team shouldn't have been in. There aren't those complaints this week. All of our final eight teams, they've earned their right to be there. They're all good teams. They are the eight best teams in the nation as of right now, and they're going to be fighting out. These are top of the line matchups. There's a couple big spreads. There's some really close games, but let's just call things like they are. These games could go either way. I don't care if you're the more talented team, you can still come out and lose these round two matchups. We're going to break them all down, look at every single game. They're actually kicking off New Year's Eve and New Year's Day to welcome in the 2026 year. We have quarterfinals football. Can't ask for more there. We're going to break it down, predict the winner, loser, and we're also going to try to predict the final score. And of course, we'll take a look at those best bets, the money line, the spread, the over-unders. Help me out. First things first, though, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below. Who do you think is going to win this game? And number two, what's your final score predictions? Leave them in the comment section. You guys know that I respond to every single comment. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, check out that pinned comment down below. Let's not waste any more time. Let's look at the quarterfinals. And guys, just an interesting side note, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just kind of saying things like they are. We got every single round one game correct. We picked two upsets, Bama over Oklahoma. Yes, Oklahoma was the Vegas favorite. And we picked the Hurricanes over the Aggies. The Aggies were the Vegas favorite. We don't care what Vegas said. We got them all right. We are 4-0. We're pretty good so far. Let's try to keep that momentum going. Our very first game, New Year's Eve, they have this game all to themselves. It's a rematch of, what was that, 2002-2003 national championship. The Miami Hurricanes versus the defending national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Miami comes in here number 10. 11-2. I don't care about those two losses. People were saying, oh, they lost to Louisville and they lost to SMU. Carson Beck had like 6 turnovers those games. He played like crap. Things didn't go their way. There were some bad ref calls. Losses are losses. They are what they are. If you did not think this team deserved to be in the playoffs, guys, they deserve to be in the playoffs. This is a top 10 overall roster. This is an efficient offense nonetheless. They have the best offensive line in the country. I don't want to hear people say they don't belong in here, but then they talk about the SEC, Big Ten, line of scrimmage stuff football. This is the best offensive line there is. You got two guys here, of course, led by Malagoa. They're going to be first-round picks off the offensive line. They have the best defensive line, not in the ACC, in the entire country. Bain, Mesidor, both those guys probably going to be first-round picks themselves, but they're going up against the national champions here. The Buckeyes, they are the national champions, the defending champs, and they are the Vegas favorites to win the national championship again back-to-back seasons, coming in here with the number one overall defense. Ohio State, number 2, 12-1. Their only loss was the Big Ten championship to the Indiana Hoosiers. I don't really fault teams for losing. There's only one undefeated team in the playoffs. That's the Hoosiers. Buckeyes put up a fight. They didn't own the line of scrimmage. It was a close game. Was it 13-10? People want to trash the Hurricanes for winning 10-3, but they don't trash Indiana or Ohio State for that 13-10 game, guys. These are all good teams. Anyone in the playoffs right now, any of these 8 teams is more than capable of making it to the national championship. This game is good. This game is personal. These brands, they don't like one another. Most of the fan bases, they don't like one another. It's the North versus the South. It's going to be a fun one for us unbiased college football fans. There's just so much buildup here. They have the night to themselves. The Hurricanes coming off of that emotional win in College Station. The Buckeyes coming off of that loss. The biggest news that stands out to me, Ryan Day taking over play calling duties for Brian Hartline. Ohio State leading the nation in time of possession. They were slowly slogging their way down the field, the number one defense. They were just grinding teams out. When Ryan Day calls plays, they go up-tempo a lot more. They go vertical a lot more. I honestly think that's a massive advantage to the Buckeyes. Miami wants you to play slow, grueling style of football. That's what the Aggies try to do. They try to say, we are the SEC. We can dominate the line of scrimmage, and Miami punched them right in the mouth. Ryan Day saw that, and he's saying, we can't play into their hands. That's their style of football. We need to go quicker. I definitely think he's going to be able to do that. They have Julian saying they don't have the best offensive line. Get the ball out of your hands quick, up-tempo, quick snap. Don't grind the clock out and snap it at 2-3 seconds. I hate that. Go up-tempo. You might catch Miami off guard here. Right now, the Hurricanes coming in 29.5% chance to win. The Buckeyes, 70.5. A lot of fans siding with the Buckeyes. It's kind of lopsided here, but maybe we're getting set up for the upset. This is also the biggest Vegas spread. Ohio State, 9.5-point favorites. The over-under, 42.5. Right now with Miami, the veteran Carson Beck. The big question, what version of Carson Beck shows up? 4-interception Carson Beck versus SMU, or does he show up like he played in the Pitt game, slinging the ball down the field? Can the offensive line hold up versus that pass protection? Carson Beck, when he's under pressure, he's not the best. He gets happy feet, and he kind of always spins the ball like a hot loaf of bread. I don't know what he's doing. Sometimes he gets a little too nonchalant. He's not Cam Ward. There's only one Cam Ward. You have Fletcher, Lyle, you have Pringle, deep running back room, the smash, the speed. You have Malachi Toney, the best freshman in the country. I don't care what your conference is. This guy can throw touchdowns, catch them. He can run touchdowns in. The Buckeyes are going to have him double team the whole game. The rest of that wide receiver room has to step up. Daniels, Marion, Lofton has to step up. You need Lofton, the tight end position, to step up. The Buckeyes, so much talent on the team. They might be the most loaded roster in the nation. Saying invited to the Heisman ceremony. 3,400 yards, 31 touchdowns, 6 picks. But he showed in that Indiana game, if he's testing at the line of scrimmage, he doesn't always play his best football. But really, that was really the first time that they were tested line of scrimmage-wise. They probably learned a lot. Don't expect that same Buckeyes team to show up here for Miami. You might be mistaken to have that happen. Jackson, obviously, over 1,000 yards. They have Jeremiah Smith. They have Tate. They have Ennis, the deepest wide receiver core in the nation, the best 1-2 wide receiver combo. But Miami just faced one of the best 1-2 combos. Craver, Concepcion, those guys couldn't get nothing because Marcel Reed, who's a far more mobile quarterback than Sayin, had no time to throw the ball. And he's a mobile quarterback. Can Miami get that same type of pressure against Sayin? Urban Meyer said if the Buckeyes score 2 touchdowns, they're going to win this game. Obviously, Meyer's a little biased there, having coached the Buckeyes. I don't necessarily know that that's true. Don't underestimate Miami. Miami played in the elements last week. They were running the ball, playing slow. It was windy. People were missing kicks. There was no reason to loft balls down the field. Marcel Reed learned that the hard way. Too windy, throws those passes off course. Right now, Miami, 32.2 points a game, throwing for 262.5, running for 151.9, giving up 13 points a game. Number 6 defense in the nation, only 87 yards given up on the ground. That's the number 5 rush defense in the country. They get after. Buckeyes, 34.9 points a game, throwing for 266.8, running for 162.8, giving up 8.2 points a game. That is a crazy stat. That's the number 1 defense. They had the number 1 defense last year. Statistically, they are an even better defense this season. Give Matt Patricia some credit. He's coming into college with that NFL knowledge. They're getting after it. No one has been able to move the ball. Indiana beat Ohio State. They only scored 13 points. Can Miami win another, 13-10, 14-10 game? Yeah, potentially. It could easily turn into that game. I don't think this is going to be a rout game, like a 34-30 game. It's not going to be a shootout. These teams are way too talented on the defensive side. It's going to be a physical game. Both teams, though, they relish in the physicality. This is a Cotton Bowl. It is a very tough one to call. Like I said, you can make a very strong case for either one of these teams to walk away with the win. I hate having to pick a side here, but at the end of the day, I picked the Hurricanes to win last week, guys. I've been calling things like I see them. I don't care about the brands. I don't care what conference you're in. If I think you're going to win, I'm going to say you're going to win. I'm going to go with the Hurricanes here to lose this game. The Buckeyes win 27-16, and they move on to the next round. If the Hurricanes win this game, would it surprise me? Not in any way whatsoever. But I think the Buckeyes, they'll control the second half. I think it's going to be close at halftime. Buckeyes walk away with the win, but it's going to be a fun game. And also on New Year's Day, we have the Rose Bowl coming up. This is an interesting game because you have a blue blood versus the up-and-coming, the team with the largest losing percentage in college football history, the number 1 team in the country this year. Gotta love college football, especially this new version of college football. January 1st, 4 p.m. This game is going to be on ESPN. Number 9, the Alabama Crimson Tide, 11-3. A lot of people said Alabama did not belong in the playoffs, but no matter what your opinion on that was, they won the first round. They beat the Sooners. We did have Alabama pulling off the upset that game. We called it right. Going up against number 1, the 13-0, the only undefeated team, the Indiana Hoosiers. Curt Cignetti's team, what he's done to this team in 2 seasons is remarkable. The Fighting Cignettis, all they do is win. I don't even know what to say. What this guy's done through the portal just in 2 seasons, this entire school, largest losing percentage in college football history, only 2 10-win seasons in their entire history. Last season and this season, got to give Kurt Cignetti some props here. The Hoosiers, 71.4% chance to win this one. Alabama coming in here, 29.9% chance. It's a tough game. This is a tough game to call because Alabama, might have the number one roster. They're at least top 3, top 5 rosters in the nation. They're loaded, but Nick Saban's not walking out of that tunnel anytime soon. It is Kalen DeBoer, who's still a very good coach. He has Ryan Grubbs as the offense coordinator. You know what they want to do. Vertically push the ball down the field. They don't really care about running. They pass to set up the run. They don't run to set up the pass like most play action teams. They got Ty Simpson and they got the weapons, Bernard, Ryan Williams, although you haven't really heard Ryan Williams' name in a couple weeks. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he hasn't really been in the game plan so far. But maybe he's been sliding under the radar. This might be the game that he has a breakout game. Miller, 504 rush yards. He's the leading rusher. Alabama has been struggling to run the ball. I said months ago, everybody caught on to the Alabama can't run. I was saying it at the beginning of the season. This isn't the best offensive line. It's not a talent issue. It's just things haven't quite meshed the way that they usually do on the Alabama Crimson Tide team. They're not getting pushed at the line of scrimmage. They're not running the ball. At some point, you are going to face a team that gets pressure on the quarterback, dominates the line of scrimmage, and you're going to be forced to run the ball. Or if you're playing a very good offense and it's the fourth quarter and you want that final possession, you are going to need a 7 to 8 minute possession going down the field, draining the game clock, which means you need to be able to run the ball. You can't do that passing because incompletion stop the clock. That's when you need a rushing attack. You can't win in the playoffs if you are one-dimensional. It is what it is. It's always been that way. Alabama's one-dimensional unless for some reason they learn how to run round 2 of the playoffs. I don't necessarily see that happening, but so much talent. Just what version of Alabama shows up? Does the Bama version that show up that got their backs blown out versus Georgia, that barely beat South Carolina? Or do we see the version that beat Georgia, one of the best wins of the season? Their room for error is so vast. They can be a national championship team. They can be a team that doesn't even make the playoffs. It's just where do they fall in there? But Ty Simpson overall, 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, 5 picks. This game's going to be decided, just like the last game and just like the Miami game, at the line of scrimmage. On the other side, the Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza, transferred first season with the team, 3,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. He's ran for 7 or 8 rushing touchdowns, 300 to 400 rushing yards. He's not a dual threat quarterback, but he will take off. This Alabama defense will be tested. One thing that hurts defenses is the mobile quarterback, extending plays with his legs, rolling the pocket out, but still always keeping his eye looking down the field. You have Hemby, just shy of 1,000 yards. We're waiting for full word on their entire wide receiver core, Cooper Jr., Surratt. If they get all those guys back, this is a very talented wide receiver core. The offensive line, hard to get your hands on Mendoza, and someone can't sit there and say, well, this is SEC football, blah, blah, blah. This is Big Ten football because this is your 2 Power 2 conferences. The SEC and the Big Ten, they are the 2 best conferences. These guys are slugging it out. It's not just who's moving on to the next round. This is bragging rights. This is SEC versus Big Ten. Both conferences think they're the best. We'll see what happens this game. Right now, the Hoosiers 7-point favorites. That probably has to shock a lot of Bama fans, a lot of SEC fans. To me, that's not surprising. To a lot of people, that's not surprising because Indiana's been probably the most consistent team this season. Get the same performance week in and week out. They've been playing better, but if you think the Hoosiers are just going to come in here and roll over Alabama, I don't see that happening. This is a talented team. It's just what version of Bama shows up. That's the big question mark. That's what makes this so hard to call is they look completely different week to week. The over-under 48.5. Bama does get Womack back. Indiana down one of their best defensive players, 3rd leading tackler on the team. That's a massive loss. He created havoc in the backfield versus the Buckeyes. But Indiana already showed they can beat the number 1 team in the country. They beat the Buckeyes. They were the underdogs. They won that game. Can they do it again? For a lot of people who've been watching college football for years, it's hard to imagine Indiana beating the Buckeyes and then the next game beating the Alabama Crimson Tide. But that's a good story. Right now, Alabama 31.4 points a game, throwing for 270.2, running for 109.9. That's not going to cut it. You got to get that number. It needs to at least be 135, 140 per game. If they don't run for 100 here, just like Ohio State didn't run for 100 versus Indiana, they're not going to win this game. To me, I don't think they're going to win this game. They're giving up 17.9 points a game. Not a bad defense at all. They do give up 120.6 on the ground. The weakness, again, a line of scrimmage. Indiana will run it at you. Hoosiers, top 5 offense, 41.9 points a game. Throwing for 251.6, running for 221.2, just like the Oregon Ducks, one of the most balanced teams in the nation. You can gash the Buckeyes on the ground. If Indiana dominates the run game, Fernando Mendoza, third and shorts and stuff like that, scrambling for first downs, they're going to keep the ball away from that Alabama offense. And they're only giving up 10.8 points a game. Again, a top 5 defense. Top 5 offense, top 5 defense. They give up 179.5 through the air. Great secondary. Only 77.6 on the ground. That's top 3 rush defense versus an Alabama team who's already struggling to establish the run. But if that, round 1 Georgia-Alabama team shows up here, Alabama can beat Indiana, especially if Indiana gets a big head. This is newfound success for them. Curt Cignetti has his work cut out from keeping his boys focused and on the prize, which is the national championship. So what's our prediction for this game? Tough game to call, really fun game to watch. Give me the Hoosiers. Give me Indiana getting the win here. I'm going to say I was kind of sitting Alabama around 20. Give me the Hoosiers. I was sitting in that 24 to 26 range. Give me the Hoosiers winning this one 26 to 20. And officially breaking in the new year, the 2026 year. 2025 flew by. I don't even know what happened to it, but we got 2026 coming up. New Year's Day, January 1st, 12 p.m., the Orange Bowl. Number 5, Oregon Ducks, 12-1, coming off of throttling JMU. JMU had no business being in the playoffs. Ducks did give up a boatload of points second half, but let's call things like they are. They had their second, third stringers in. They're going up against number 4, the Texas Tech Red Raiders, 12-1. I've been hearing a lot of people say Texas Tech, they're not going to know what hit them. This is the Big 12. They don't have the schedule that Oregon had out of the Big 10. Blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I don't care what your conference is. I don't care what your brand is. We're picking who we honestly think is going to win this game because your conference brand, that's not going to help you get the win in the playoffs. Whoever plays the best that day is going to move on. The Aggies said the same thing about the Hurricanes, SEC, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't matter. It's talent. There's talented teams in every single conference. Obviously, some conferences have more talented teams, but just because you're in the crowd doesn't mean that conference sticker is going to carry you over here, but maybe but there's no doubt about Oregon. This is a top 5 roster. Dan Lanning has built this team from the inside out. He's got coordinators getting poached, but they're going to be here for this game. The Ducks are cruising. Ducks are in overdrive. One thing that hurt Oregon last year, they went undefeated regular season last season, 14-0, won the Big Ten. They had so many weeks off that once they actually got into the playoffs, they lost that first game versus the Buckeyes. That's not the case this season. They didn't win the conference. They weren't a top 4 seed, and that's exactly what you wanted to be. They came out. They got things going versus JMU. Now they're coming into this game with momentum. Texas Tech is the team, just like the Buckeyes. It's been a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks since they played. They might be rusty here. Might take them a couple possessions technically to kind of get the ball rolling, especially this Texas Tech offense who doesn't have the best red zone offense, but they're overall a good offense. But they need their defense to create turnovers. Texas Tech, they lead the nation in turnover margin. But what happens? Oregon, only 11 turnovers the entire season. That's less than 1 per game. If Texas Tech's defense doesn't get those turnovers, can their offense generate momentum and points on their own? We're definitely going to find out this game. This game's going to be on ESPN. Red Raiders, 51.6% chance to win. The fans going with the Red Raiders. I love it. Oregon, 48.4%, practically a 50-50 split down the middle. That lets you know that we have a good college football game. As an unbiased fan, this game's just going to be so fun to watch. May the best team win. The Ducks, 1.5-point favorites. Basically a pick 'em from Vegas. The over-under, 52.5. Dante Moore, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Might be a top 3 pick if he does decide to come out. 3,100 yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 picks. You have Whittington. This is a top 10 overall rushing offense. Top 5, they get after it. This offensive line, if the Hurricanes have the best offensive line, Oregon has a very, very close number 2. They get after it. They don't give up pressures. They want to run you over and dominate the line of scrimmage. Smash mouth football, but this is probably one of the most balanced, if not the most balanced offense in the country also. They have Benson. If they can ever get Stewart fully going, that would really even take this offense to the next level. On the other side, Texas Tech, that lone loss They didn't even have their starting quarterback in. I'm not giving them a pass for the loss, but they didn't even have their starting quarterback in. Morton on the year, 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's not a mobile quarterback, but he will take off if you leave it there. Dickey, 1,100 yards rushing. Douglas, talented overall team. Texas Tech, #1 transfer portal class. Some people were knocking them, saying they bought their roster. They spent the same amount of money as all the big brands. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon with the Nike money. That's the way college football is. It's just they're not a blue blood, so people want to insult them. Guys, give Texas Tech some props. They had a great season. They deserve to be here, and they have a very good defense, but so does Oregon. Oregon is one of the most complete teams in the nation. The Ducks, 39.2 points a game. Check these numbers out. They're running for 251.8. Sorry, they're throwing for 251.8, running for 217.1, almost 500 yards of offense. But it's the 50-50 split. If you have a great front seven, they'll try to beat you throwing the ball. If you have a great secondary, they'll try to beat you running the ball. At some point, something on the defensive side has to give, and they're only giving up 16.3 points a game. Top 15 defense in the country. They only give up 158.1 through the air. This secondary, they have things locked down back there. Very hard to throw on them. The Red Raiders, 42.5 points a game, but like I said, they get the short field a lot. They get a lot of turnovers. They have a good defense, but they do somewhat struggle in the red zone. They're throwing for 289.4. Running for 190.9, giving up 10.9 points a game. That's top 5 in the country. I know, it's Big 12, blah, 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 blah. This is a good team. Rodriguez at the linebacker position might be the best linebacker in the country. They get after it. How about Bailey? 13.5 sacks. They create pressure, but it's strength on strength. It's this rush defense that's really good. 68.5 yards per game given up. That's #1. Not in the Big 12. That's #1 in the entire nation versus one of the best rushing teams. Both teams are attacking one another with each other's strength. That's what makes this game so fun. That's what makes it an interesting matchup. Who's going to own the line of scrimmage? Sometimes it's that simple. Who's going to get pushed at the line? This, to me, is the most 50-50 game there is. This one could go either way. It really sucks having to actually pick a winner here because it's tough. I wish I could just sit back and watch it, but you know how we do. We pick a winner and a loser for these videos. So at the end of the day, give me the Oregon Ducks to walk away with a very close win, 27-23. It's a nail biter. It goes down to the fourth quarter. I think the run game, second half, fourth quarter, that makes the difference, and the Ducks win it. And our final game for the quarterfinals, we have the All-State Sugar Bowl coming up January 1st, 2026. Crazy thing to say, 8 p.m. This game is going to be on, of course, ESPN. #6, the Ole Miss Rebels, 12-1, coming off of completely throttling Tulane. But just like James Madison, Tulane had no business being in the playoffs. Let's just say things like they are on the road. Well, not on the road, but technically going up against #3, the Georgia Bulldogs, 12-1. Some of the best odds to win the national championship. Georgia. What a team. This is actually one of our rematch games. These teams did play during the regular season. Ole Miss had the game the entire game, coughed it up fourth quarter, but they didn't just cough it up. Georgia straight up took that game away from them, dominating the fourth quarter. Chambliss fell apart second half. I think fourth quarter he was like 2 of 10. Lacey that game, the #1 rusher in the SEC, in the physical SEC, only had 31 rushing yards. Ole Miss, who has a very balanced offense, top 10 offense in the country, could not throw, could not run second half. Georgia stormed back. Got to give Stockton credit. When they beat Alabama, that was a great performance, but I honestly thought this was the performance of the season for Stockton because they beat the living crap out of Alabama. That was a curb stomping, that second game that they played them for the SEC championship. But this is the game they had pressure on them. He was forced to come back, make himself known. They definitely did that. Georgia, who started out the season really struggling to establish the ground game. Bobo, not a Bobo fan, but second half, they've been running the ball really good, really consistent, takes this offense to another level. Stockton, efficient with the football. He's not, throwing for 400 yards per game, but he's efficient. He keeps the turnovers down. Run the ball, keep the turnovers down, play good Georgia defense. That is Kirby Smart's philosophy. Right now, the Bulldogs, 60.1% chance to win. Ole Miss, 39.9%. This is a Lane Kiffin-less Ole Miss Rebels. That's got to be worth 3 to 4 points not having Lane Kiffin. Some people think it doesn't matter. It matters. You have the defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, now the acting head coach, but it's different when you were thrust into that role. Now you have dual responsibilities overwatching the entire team and concentrating on coaching the defense to a guy who's never been a head coach before. That's hard for, let's say, Ryan Day to do, but Ryan Day, experienced play caller, experienced head coach, he can handle that responsibility. It's not a problem. And he's probably top 3 offensive minds in college football. Wouldn't say Pete Golding's necessarily a top defense coordinator. They had a top 10 defense last season, not a top 10 defense this year. Good defense, but not top 10. But now he's also the head coach. He's having to watch Charlie Weiss call the offense. But Charlie Weiss was calling the offense the entire season, and they were calling a very good offense. But Lane Kiffin, the pompousness that Lane Kiffin brings, it has to account for something. You don't lose a coach like that and think you can't miss a beat because you have the talent. This is a team that Lane Kiffin built through the portal, through recruiting, at a school that's never had this much success. He got them to the playoffs. Not having him, you have to expect some type of a step back, and you already lost this game. Do you lose it by more here, or does the team rally and it's them against the world? So you got to look at it from both perspectives. Right now, the Bulldogs, 6.5-point favorites, 56.5 over-under. How about Chambliss? We got to call this guy out. This guy was not, that was it. Austin Simmons was the starter to start the season. He didn't even become the starter until week 4, and still 3,300 passing yards in the SEC, 19 touchdowns, 3 picks. This guy can run. He can take off. Georgia, if they get pressure on him, they got to get pressure from the edges. You got to bottle that pocket up, close the pocket up, keep him from stepping up, keep him from rolling out of the pocket, scrambling for first downs. This Georgia defense, they can do that. They have quick linebackers too that can chase him down. But if Chambliss, throws for 300, runs for 75, Ole Miss is probably going to win this game. But that's easier to say than do. Lacey might be the best running back in the SEC, 1,400 rushing yards, 21 rushing touchdowns. Like I said before, he only ran for 31 versus Georgia that first game. They have Wallace closing in on 800. When a quarterback plays at a historical level, no matter how good your defense is, you can't beat them. That's what Chambliss is going to have to do here. He's been capable of doing it. He showed that he can do it in big SEC games. Only lost one SEC game, and that was this one possession loss to Georgia. It's hard to beat a good team twice, but if anyone can do it, it's obviously this Kirby Smart Georgia Bulldog team. The Bulldogs, Frazier getting the game going on the ground. It's all about Zachariah Branch. I said preseason-wise because I knew who this guy was coming out of high school. 5-star, went to USC, transferred to Georgia. He's as good of a playmaker in space as there is. I was complaining the first couple weeks. Bobo would not give this man the ball. He needs the ball. Punts, kick returns, slot, deep shots, anything. Get the ball to your playmakers in space. Since they've been doing that, he's picking up massive yards after the catch. The guy loves yak. Feed him the ball, he'll make some plays. Ole Miss, 37.5 points a game. Throwing for 312.4, running for 185.6, balanced offense. But Lacey only 31 yards against Georgia last time. You can't get that out of your mind because you saw it happen, and they're giving up 19.3 per game. They're giving up 147.8 on the ground. Not a bad secondary. Where you beat Ole Miss is at the line of scrimmage, that defensive front seven, running the ball down their throat. In Georgia, the last 6-7 games, they've been running the ball as well as anyone. So that's Ole Miss's strength last time we saw them. Last time we saw Georgia, that's Ole Miss's weakness, and that's Georgia's strength right now. The Bulldogs, 31.9 points a game. Not the best overall offense, but they're efficient. They keep the ball in front of them. They don't turn it over. They're throwing for 220.3. They're running for 186.6. It's not a good miss versus Ole Miss front seven. They're giving up 15.9 points a game. Their weakness is their secondary, giving up 205.3. Chambliss couldn't throw on Georgia fourth quarter last time, but Georgia's weakness is that secondary. That showed versus Tennessee. They beat Tennessee, but Aguilar was chucking the ball all over Georgia that game. So was Alabama the first game. So for Ole Miss to win this game, it's got to be to the vertical passing game. For Georgia to win it, it's got to be running right at Ole Miss. And they're only giving up 79.2 on the ground. It's going to be very hard for the Rebels to run on Georgia. If they're successful running, to me, it's from the quarterback position, Chambliss's legs, that could make the difference. So when we're having to pick the outcome of this game, very difficult game to call. But like I said, not having Lane Kiffin, it has to account for something to me. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs winning this game 30-21. So guys, that's our breakdown of all of our quarterfinal games. 4 great games. No matter which one you're watching, this is college football at its best. The top 8 teams in the nation battling it out. These games, even though some teams are more favored than the other, these games are complete toss-ups. Anyone can win this game. This is college football at its best. This is what college football fans want to see, because no matter what game you pick, you can make a very strong, valid case for either one of those teams to walk away with the win. Guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below who you think wins these games, but more importantly, what do you think the final score is? Leave it in the comment section. I will respond to every single comment. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, make sure to check out that pinned comment down below. And as always, welcome to 2026. And of course, thank you for watching.